so you can see both of us. Hello, everyone. It's Monday night, so that means it's time for Tarot Delights, our beautiful podcast. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Like you said, that you liked before, that we're delightfully tired.
We are delightfully tired, and that's a very good descriptor.
Yes, because we did and worked at the big tarot conference that was in Kingston this weekend, that Marilyn Shannon is the developer and organizer and queen of.
Yeah, I was gonna say queen, creator. She does all the things and wears all the hats.
Yes. Now tonight we're only down to 3 drinks. At the conference, we each had lines
like
of drinks.
4.
Yeah, we had the cold one, the hot one, the water, the the extra juice that we needed or
the
whatever.
Extra juice. Well, it was. I think mine got bad because I had a pop from the night before because they were taking drinks away before Sasha started her.
It's Ghost Stories by Candlelight.
Yeah, Ghost Stories by Candlelight podcast. So I was like, oh, what if I'm thirsty?
Yeah.
So I crafted extra one, didn't need it. So it ended up there for the morning with my coffee and water and drink. And then there was like lunch. So there was a drink there.
Yeah. So we had all the drinks going on.
It was good. It was a good way to stay hydrated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My system very much thanked me because there was vegetables involved. There was good eating and fiber happening.
Fruit was amazing.
Yeah, lots of fruit. And I drank so much water, more than I usually do in here.
Well, I think
my body's like, yes, finally.
It's like, do this every day.
Exactly.
It's funny how our body's like, hey, now you got it. And then we go right back to the old habits of like next to nothing.
Yeah. Well, I did bring my water.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
So, yes.
My water's in the car. I'm drinking tea.
There you go.
Which is flavored water.
Yeah, exactly. It's water with a few roots involved.
Yes, I love it.
But yeah, we had so much fun. We were there as the Zoom people. We weren't Zooming in. We were
the tech side of Zoom.
The tech side of Zoom. We were keeping it organized, answering questions. She was doing more of it than I was.
You had your own but to keep everyone on track with like the presentations and stuff, like that's hard.
Yeah. I screen shared, and then I was being, conducted or orchestrated, I guess, as to when to change the slide. So I had to keep an eye on the presenter, like, I'm ready. Boom, here we go. And then we even lost the internet for a little while.
I know.
Neither of us realized. And then it was like, okay. So we lost about an hour of recording because the internet wasn't working. So hopefully Marilyn Shannon is not too upset with me about the recording, because I wasn't always right on the button to record. You were good at reminding me, but it was usually about...
Well, and I mean, Zoom is really good because it reminds you, like it says like meeting in progress or meeting recording in progress.
Yeah.
So a couple of the Zoom people were like, it's not recording. I was like, oh yeah, it is. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, it's not. Let's fix that.
Exactly. So thankfully, and there was one, Karen was her name, a Zoom person, that was really great on the Friday because you couldn't make it until after work. So it had started before then, and she was good at telling everyone to mute themselves so that we weren't getting the bad feedback.
Yeah, because you have the 2 laptops right beside each other, and like I know your audio was hooked into the mic that the presenters were using.
Yeah.
And if they weren't muted, it was like carrying over from like my laptop or like the laptop I was using.
Yeah.
And it was so we had a few little hiccups, but we made it, and hopefully the recordings are good. Yep. Still on piece, no one beat us up.
And hopefully they're good enough that most people can get the gist of what the conference was about and everything, because it was just phenomenal.
Oh, I know. Like there was one presenter. Was it Saturday morning? Was the ancestral one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Like, I mean, this is...
I think so. That was the one with the Lenormand? No, it was Saturday afternoon. That was ancestral. Because Lenormand was the first one.
That was Friday night, though.
Oh, was it Friday night? No, I thought it was Saturday morning, because I remember thinking, oh my God, it's so dull.
All right, so I'm pretty sure, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Lenormand was Friday night.
Yeah.
Saturday morning was ancestral, because Saturday afternoon was Sasha.
Oh, yes, you're right. 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. was Lenormand. See, it all blended into one day for me.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
you're right. I have the agenda right in front of me here. And it was Erica Robertson who was doing Lenormand. And it was really dull at the start for me because I didn't know Lenormand, right? So she was going through it card by card by card. But when we had a little break, and then she came back for how to use these cards. And then I was like, oh, I see why you did what you did.
Yes, yes.
And I was like, oh, this is so great that you did that. I wish I was paying more attention at the start.
Well, that's where it's hard, right? Like, because if it's not a system you're familiar with, that's the.
Yeah,
So with
yeah.
tarot, tarot is a actually there's a couple tarot systems. There's Thoth tarot.
Yeah.
Which I really wish we could get like Andrew in from the Hermit's Lamp to teach about
Oh,
Thoth because
yeah.
he's fantastic with that.
Yeah.
Then there's the Rider Waite Smith.
Yeah. Which is the most common one.
Yeah. And then there's like Marseille.
Yes. Yes.
And then the one I found out about last conference was Kipper cards.
Kipper cards. Oh, interesting. What are
Like,
those?
and I couldn't tell you. That's like I was like, oh, that looks interesting, and then I read about it a little bit, and I was
But
like,
it's a form of tarot?
it is
Or is it
a
like
form of-
Lenormand?
It might be more Lenormand.
Okay.
Again, we're not,
Because Lenormand, I know, is a card system, but it's nothing compared to tarot because it has some similar cards. Like it has a tower.
Yeah.
But Erica first, when she pulled the tower up, she was like, it's not like tarot tower. Don't even associate these two cards together.
Well, that's because the tarot tower is scary, quote unquote, to people.
Right, exactly. And there's a couple other cards that are very close to a tarot card, but has a different meaning in Lenormand.
Yeah, and it's honestly like fascinating because like
Mm-hmm.
you've been studying tarot for like 20, 30 some years.
Yeah, probably 30 years.
I've been studying tarot for a good, well, I got exposed to tarot in 2012. It wasn't until about 2018 that I really dove into it. So like I'm still like less than 10. And like I still learn new things. So
Oh, yeah.
to dive into a brand new system, I have to remind myself that I don't know everything and
Yeah,
like,
and
look-
this is not tarot.
no, it's not. But it's interesting.
It's very interesting. Yeah, because I've taken a couple of runs at Lenormand. Probably 20 years ago was the first time, because it was when I had my farm out in Napanee.
Yeah.
And Wendy, my neighbor, brought it by.
Okay.
And she was like, oh, look at this. And I'm like, oh, and I love the Lenormand cards. They're always so pretty.
Yes.
Always
That's
pretty.
what sucks you in. So if you're a card collector or a deck collector, be careful with Lenormand because they're pretty.
They're very pretty, but it was at that point I was sort of focused more on tarot and wanted to get better at that. So I tried it, and then a few years after that, I kind of looked at it again, and I was like, no, tarot is my love, and you'll always have a first love, right? Like, because when I had my big spa and salon in the city here. A lot of girls would see, like the hairdressers would see that there's a big party coming in for mani pedis, and they're like, oh, I wonder if I could be an esthetician. And vice versa. The estheticians would see that the hairdressers were really busy and be like, what if I added hair to my repertoire? And I said, the danger with that is you're always going to have a first love. And usually what you became first, like esthetician first or hairdresser first, you're going to favor that.
Yeah.
And you're going to almost do a disservice
To the other side.
to the other
Yeah.
side.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is a little bit different because it's still cards. You're still in the same realm kind of thing. Because as much as you think beauty, mani-pedis, esthetician, facial type things, and hair will marry, they don't marry well.
Interesting.
Because hairdressers are very rock and roll, they're loud, they've got the blow dryers, they're yappy, and that's just the nature of what a salon is like, right?
Yep.
And I started as a spa. So as estheticians, we tend to be very quiet, we're meditative, we're like, let's
So
relax
it's
you.
that like tell me like you're going out to a party to get your hair done versus I need to relax, I want to get my nails done.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because like I said, I started as a spa. So that's all I did exclusively. I had a team of girls that worked with me and blah, 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 and I decided to bring hair in. And the fights that would happen. Because
Really?
the estheticians would come up and they'd be like, make the fucking hairdresser, shut up. I'm trying to relax my client back here. And the hairdresser sometimes, not always, of course, would crank the hairdresser to high and go boop, ba-doop, boop, boop. It's like, and even the conferences, like I've been to aesthetic conferences.
Oh, okay.
And you normally have very quiet girls walking around with clipboards, taking notes. What's the science behind this cream? What's the, new procedure in nails, whatever it might be. You go to a hair conference though, and it is rock and roll the whole time. There's a big stage. They're doing hair up there. The hairdressers are dancing while they're doing the,
Well, and I've noticed that, like, not like to take it out of the hair world for a minute. Like, I've noticed that with most things. Like, it's not just a conference. It's almost like a production.
Yeah. And the hair show, I've always said it's worth going to just for the production quality because it's exciting and it's like, wow, this is cool. Whereas, go ready to study at the esthetician conference. Fun conference if you're into that sort of thing, but it's not a rock and roll production.
No, I think to throw it back to the tarot stuff, we did a bit of studying. I know one of the speakers was very much like this. I want this to be a study atmosphere, and I'm like,
Yeah.
You're not gonna get that all the way, but
No.
okay. But I like how she ended her presentation with like all of us. Because there was a spread that we did with just the majors. There was like the focal point or your superpower. So that was one. And then there was like a 3 deep. So like six across? 6 across, 3 deep?
No, 7.
7.
Because you ended up using all the major arcanas.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that equals 21, and then the 22nd one would be your superpower. So and then there was a point to that because you learned a bunch of stuff about yourself, and then at the end we used like our signifier card to like send energy to a crystal that closed out the conference.
Absolutely. And I loved that.
It was so good.
It was really great. And what's really cool is I'm taking inspiration from that and creating a spread. But the signifier card is going to be your life card in tarot.
So like your birth card.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like
So
you have a predetermined birth card because it's the numbers of it's numerology.
Numerology.
And then
So you'll know what your numerology life number is as well.
okay.
Yeah. Which really helps, right? So you're going to get in this particular reading, you're going to get a blurb about why, a little sort of synopsis of your birth path. And then the signifier card will be what your birth path is. But like you said, it's also what your superpower is because you picked it, right?
Yep.
And then the full spread, I'm calling it the golden tableau.
Ooh, I like it.
Yes. And then you get a crystal as well to match with.
I mean, I love crystals. Crystals have really great energy, and I know some people you're in like 2 camps or 3. You don't care about crystals.
Right.
They're not anything to you. Take or leave them, whatever. Or you love them, and you have like they have great energy, and you can charge them, and you kind of know your dealings with them. Or you're like, nah, I'm not a crystal person. Don't come at me with rocks.
Oh, okay. Well, how's that different from the first camp that you're not into them?
Oh no, I misspoke there. So the other one is there's like. Yes, they're good. They're high vibrational, depending on what it is. And the other camp is they're low vibrational.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm the low vibrational because I see them as elephants.
Oh, interesting.
They just kind of boom, 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 and they can't help but have an effect on you. But not low vibrational in that they're like, low vibrational tired, but the elephant. If an elephant's in the room, you know it's there.
Yep.
And you can't but help but get affected and feel it, right?
Okay. Yep.
And that's why I think crystals are the elephants. They're low vibrational, and that the elephant will be there. No one can miss it. No one can't help but be influenced by it.
Okay.
Even those that don't care about crystals, right? Because if you've ever put citrine, for instance, in a room after there's an argument, it's amazing how the argument dissipates a lot faster, even among those that don't believe that crystals have any.
I've taken advantage of a few of those little insights.
Because I used to be in the camp of I don't care about crystals. I
Yep.
resisted them for a long time.
Yep.
I'm not sure why, because when I started teaching witchcraft classes and stuff, and people were like, "Oh, are you gonna do a crystal class?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's coming, it's coming." And I was like, I have no interest in crystals at all. And I was, I think, a little bit, partly because I didn't know about them. I didn't want to teach because, you know, I feel like you have to be an expert to teach.
Well, and that's it, right? Like you want to at least seem knowledgeable on the subject matter that you're teaching. So it's kind of hard to do that when it's something so new to you if you haven't dove into that yourself.
But funny story. So I was resisting. But you see those 2 containers full of crystals?
Yeah, that people assume that you can buy, but they're actually your personal stash.
Yes, they're my personal stash. Not one of them has been bought by myself.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Every single one of them have been given to me. But it was the universe's way of, I had so many messengers go, "Hey, here's a crystal. Oh, thanks. I don't know what to do with it."
Meanwhile, you're like, all right, so I have all
But
these
the
crystals.
universe
What do
is
I
like-
do with them?
It's like, here, have some more crystals.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be doing stuff with crystals.
Meanwhile, I get connected to crystals even if they're not physically in the room with me. Because, like, for example, I bought this at the conference, but, like, I used to and still do. So one of the crystal companies that I follow regularly is out of Cornwall, and they're called Spirit Roots Company. Shout out to Emily and Rob. But like for example, they would do Facebook Lives. So we're doing YouTube Live, but it would be like doing a live crystal show, and so they'd show and like number things and have them priced, and you know, you would be connected to it or not, or like the energy, or like she would sometimes throw in some tidbits about like the properties of crystals. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like that's how my crystal collection grew
Oh, okay.
quite significantly in a very short amount of time.
Right, right. Yeah, because you have a lot of crystal knowledge. I know how to work with crystals, so that's sort of a different side of the same coin,
Yeah.
right? I mean, some of crystal knowledge, like, you know, citrine is great for happiness and blah, blah, blah. Fluoride's great for, you know, if you want to study and focus and stuff. It can't help but rub off on you a little bit,
Yep.
right? But I am more on the side of here's what to do with crystals. Because once I started, when the universe started flooding me with crystals, saying, yeah, this is the world you need to be in, I started like going, well, okay, so now I have like, you know, 2 drawerfuls of crystals. Now what do I do with them? And that was the big hesitation in teaching them too was, well, you know, like, what do you do? Like, it's great if you read about it and then you bring it home and you're like, okay, it's sitting here, but I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too because like they can be incorporated into spells, so like spell jars and
Yep.
and other spells and like amplify things and
But what you're really good at is you know the crystals, you often know what the properties of it, but you know when it's been like treated in some way, right?
yes,
you
yeah.
know, like titanium lasers or whatever it might be.
like they're so like the aura coatings and stuff.
yeah,
They're-
like you know that like that. And I'm like,
Well, I've
it's
seen
just
a bunch
pretty.
of them. I'm like, it is pretty, but is it real?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nowadays too, it's very easy to get those fake crystals, right? Because I don't know, it's just more accessible for whatever.
Well,
reason.
and I think it would be more accessible, but it's also cheaper to manufacture, right? So
Yeah.
like there's a whole ethics side of crystals that you have to be careful of and how they mine them and are they exploiting young children and or third world countries.
Yeah. Just like,
potentially.
you know, like the sage, when I
Yes.
talked about it, it's like you don't need to burn it like a cigar and you don't need to set a bonfire in your own house. And if you are burning through a whole thing of sage in a month, you either have an evil demonic presence or you're burning way too much because, you know, it became so that people were buying it so much that it actually is endangered. Yeah, because people were harvesting, like companies were harvesting it too much, and you know, you kind of you have to use it with respect, right? Just like everything else that Mother Earth gives us.
Well, and I think as a human species, we're not good at respecting things.
No, we're not at all. We're horrible at it, right? And there's, you know,
Eons of proof.
eons of proof, eons of stories. I mean, like there's been groups of people that are smarter, and I have to say the indigenous or the First Peoples have been always, that was part of their thing. Never take the whole plant, only take what you need. Always ask for permission to take and that sort of thing. So that's good. Unfortunately, a lot of the weight does land on the white and Caucasian races of the world or
Well,
ethnicities
and
of the
it's
world.
the way that society has become. That it's more of a take, right? Like it's less
Yeah.
asking, more taking. How much can we get for this? And it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah, and like, I'm sure it was the same over in Africa where the tribes over there were, very much like honoring the plant and blah 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 because they really connected when they were unfortunately brought over here as slaves with the first peoples that were also slaves, and then melding together their beliefs and like obviously not every plant that they used over in Africa was here in Canada or the United States or whatever, and unfortunately, when the Caucasian races first came to Canada and United States and South America, it seemed like a bountiful place that was limitless in the amount of stuff they could do and take and whatnot. So yeah, you're right. Like it started well even before then, but
Yeah.
they had already wrecked the place with the Black Plague and shit like that.
I think the Black Plague was Mother Nature going,
Yeah.
we need to go.
Some of you need to leave.
Yeah.
But I mean, even the Thames River was just disgusting. I'm not sure what it's like today.
Well,
but-
it's better,
they-
but it's not because it wasn't. Didn't they swim in it for the Olympics?
Did they really?
Oh, they
Because it
were
used-
going to. Sorry, I haven't mistaken. They were going to, but the last test that they did before the Olympics were going to start, and they were going to have like swim meets. They couldn't do it
Oh.
because of the levels of stuff.
Well, I mean, they used to throw their chamber pots that way, right? Like, it's like, no, don't swim in there.
Well, and I don't think it's been filtered as well as it could have been.
Yeah,
either.
it's like some of the rivers around New York City. Don't swim in there.
Oh man, some of the rivers around here.
yeah, right.
You're like, I'm
or
good.
certain close to certain things,
Yeah.
Like Ontario's great as long as you're not too close to this or that. Or
Yeah, water treatment plant or
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, but it's amazing. Mother Nature is an awesome force. When we were all locked down in COVID, they said that the water in Spain, it's Spain that they do the gondolas, right?
Italy,
Italy? I thought it was Spain.
maybe both.
Oh, maybe both. But where they go around by boat all the time. They have river roadways, basically. Correct us if we're wrong, because we probably
please
are.
do.
Maybe it was Venice. I don't know. But
I
anyways.
feel like Venice is a good bet.
Yeah, maybe it's Venice. So anyways, when we were all locked down, when mankind could not come out of their houses, the rivers or the waterways started to clear up and they saw dolphins for the first time in like 20
I
years.
remember that. Oh my goodness.
So Mother Nature is like, yeah, if you guys weren't around, this place would be amazing.
Right? And like
So we do have to like sort of learn our place, and respect that we are in this together with the animals. We're not here to dominate or have dominion over the animals.
Nope.
We're supposed to be here as their caretakers. And we'll be asked on the other side, why is the dodo gone?
Yeah.
And we'll be like, because we were awful. Why is the last white rhino gone? It's like,
Remember that.
it's like, oh my God, why is this endangered? Please stop asking hard questions that I don't know about.
But it's interesting because like these kind of questions come up because we were just at a place where we were able to do some deep self-reflection and maybe some shadow work going inward with the amazing Sasha Graham, who is the queen of shadow
Oh
work.
my God, yeah.
She's phenomenal.
She is phenomenal. She signed my deck. Yay. In this deck, it's the round one.
Yep.
She signs it inside. She's like, I hope that's okay. I'm like, you can sign wherever you want, sweetheart, because that's amazing.
Yeah. She is really a rock star, and I love that we were able to. So again, Kingston's Tarot and Lenormand conference.
Yeah.
Because I will butcher the name. Had a really we had some big names, but it
Yeah.
was very much a small town vibe. So you could I went up and I was like, hey Sasha, how's it going? And she was like, how's it been? And
Yeah.
just felt like catching up with an old friend, even
She
though
was very approachable,
Yeah.
super, super friendly. very like super nice, and like she never like rolled her eyes or anything.
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
she's
I'm sure she would probably never do that, like because she had lineups of people wanting them
yeah.
to sign her, books or cards or whatever it might be. So
I think we caught her at a good time though.
yeah.
Paula was doing some tech stuff on the microphone side of things.
Yes, yes. So we had a couple of tech people that were setting up the cameras and the mics. Stuff I know nothing about. I knew about Zoom, although Zoom did put a new interface on top 2 days before we were
Yeah,
to
that
do
was fun.
Zoom. So it was like, okay, this is not a Zoom I know. It's kind of like when you go on Facebook and they've changed everything, and you're like, this is all new. What is this?
Yeah, you're like, do I stay here? Do I leave? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I've been a beta tester a couple times for Facebook, so I'm usually ahead of the game, which is kind of nice. But there's been a couple times too where I'm not, and it's like you go to bed one morning knowing Facebook, no problem.
And then you come back out.
and you're
Yeah.
like, this is a whole new world.
It's the same with the algorithm too, right? Like Instagram and TikTok have been interesting.
Yeah.
Like I'm on both for Wayward Spirit and also at least Instagram personally.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been some times where I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
My algorithm is not showing anything to anybody.
Oh no, oh no.
But you persevere and deal with it, or you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had some really great inspiration, on how to do these deep dives, and that's where I'm picking up this inspiration for the tarot spreads that and services that I'm going to offer, and then workshops too, because there was a lot of cool tarot games that, like, not games like where you win a prize, but just game activity outside of just reading.
Yeah, because I feel like that's how you learn the cards, right?
Yeah.
You take the stress off of reading and you
Yeah.
can learn the cards in a different way. I really like the Ancestral Tarot, and I really wish we had the book, but I'm pretty sure I own the book and it's at home.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't read it yet, which now I feel like I wish I had of before she had presented, because I feel like, so for someone who didn't know her style of actually doing spreads or how she melded very nicely tarot and your ancestral tree, it felt a little up here.
Yeah.
Very academia. And like eventually I got there, but I was like, woo.
I was taking notes like crazy. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to sit with this later.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was interesting. But like some of the connections that came out, even in because we did a spread where we're one card and then our parents are another card, our grandparents are another card, and then I think you skip a couple generations and like your great whatevers are a couple, and it's
You went 5 generations back.
yeah, and it's interesting to see like where, like, if people didn't stay together, do they have different energies? And like, so you basically assign a tarot card to a person, and then it's interesting to see how those energies of the two cards kind of interact
Yeah.
and how that person turned out
Yeah.
and like who they married.
Yeah, it really sort of, in a lot of ways, even if you didn't know, like I can go back 4 generations. I don't think I can go back 5. But even if you didn't know, you're like, oh, that explains some things.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, that's where I got it from, or, that's why I feel out of place or whatever, right?
Well, I found it really interesting. So like, I think one of my stalker cards was the Fool because it came up multiple times. And then one of my other one was the Queen of Wands. So I was the Queen of Wands in this like ancestral spread. And then so was my grandmother on my matrilineal side.
Okay, and
So-
that's cool because you can repeat the cards, like they can be repeated through each generation.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, if you got Queen of Wands, then no one else in your family is going to get Queen of
No,
Wands.
it was really interesting, and it's like the vibe of it, because there was a couple of cards where, and that's where I kind of let my intuition take over, like, because it's supposed to be, you shuffle, you pick a card, but there was a couple of cards where I was like, shuffle, pick, no, it's not that card.
Oh, okay.
And I put it down, and then it ended up being the next card off the deck,
Oh,
which I know you're
okay.
not supposed to do, but like, don't screw with your intuition. You
yeah,
gotta trust
yeah.
it.
So yeah, I am going to take inspiration from that one too. I have some plans both for a spread and for a study kind of thing.
Ooh, I
in
like
tarot.
that.
So
Well, I think
yeah.
we should have like some sort of tarot study.
Yeah.
Whether we do it either here on YouTube or maybe in person.
Yeah, I like the in-person thing because I love the vibe and energy that I can pick up on stuff when I'm doing these kind of things. Like tarot study, I love. So the new moon circles always is a tarot study with me. And then also I do an evening at the tarot table.
Oh, I know. And you do those on Fridays, so I can never go.
Yes, yes. So, I'm trying to switch things around a little bit, but yeah, hopefully you won't even care about Fridays and working anymore.
Soon. Soon.
So, yeah, I mean, and the food was
Oh
phenomenal.
my god, the food was amazing.
The only thing is, I found the desserts were better.
We're
on
better
the
for the...
gluten-free table. So, and she said there would be muffins. So I know if I run something like that.
There were
there's
muffins for the gluten-free people.
Yes, but not unlimited muffins for us.
I don't think they were unlimited. But I just...
Well, obviously not. It's not a bottomless plate
no,
of
no,
muffins.
that would be
but,
that would be interesting.
but I noticed I was not the only one stealing desserts off of that table. There
Don't
were
tell
a lot
Marilyn
of
that.
non-gluten-free people.
Uh-oh.
But most of it was wrapped already, so it was
Oh yeah, it wasn't
single.
like
we
a
weren't like putting our hands in the
cross-contamination. No.
salad and going,
So
ah.
I have a question about, like, it looked like a muffin, but it tasted like, so it was on our, like, so I'm not gluten free, so I
Yeah.
tried not to go over there.
Yeah.
Um,
I tried to stick to our table for the most part,
Yeah,
too.
and so I don't know if it was with breakfast and then like got carried over to lunch because there was some left over, but there were like these little mini muffin things, but if you bit into it, it tasted like maple syrup and something.
Oh, I didn't try those. They were too small for me.
Oh, okay, fair. They were delicious.
I judge muffins by their size.
Whatever. You missed out. They were delicious.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Okay. Although I usually don't like maple syrup type stuff.
Well, I don't know. I was trying to figure out what was with them because I was like, man, if this is chocolate chip, I'm screwed because I don't like chocolate chip muffins.
Oh.
But I was like, okay, this has a sweetness to it. It must be blueberry. But then I thought I tasted maple, and I was like, is this like a weird French toasty cake? I don't know. I couldn't.
The only way I
place-
like my maple syrup is on pancakes or waffles.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
I mean, I
French
used to
toast.
work
French
at a
toast.
sugar shack when I was a kid. And so they had maple candy. We could do the maple
Ooh.
thing out in the snow. I like to pour it because I just like to watch it go hard, but I didn't like to eat it.
That's fair. So you were like, all right, I will pour all the ones for you. You just have to pick it up with a stick.
And my friend, whose dad owned the sugar shack, would every birthday, both her and her brothers, and I was usually over there for their birthdays, would have the maple syrup icing on the cake.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm
It's cool. It definitely, you're right. It is cool, but I didn't like it. So I'd scrape it right off and just eat the cake.
I'm impartial to cream cheese icing. I really
I love cream cheese icing. Yes.
Don't get me
yes.
wrong. A good buttercream, can't go wrong with that. But cream cheese, top notch.
Yeah. Good icing is definitely good. But for the longest time, I didn't eat icing at all.
Because of that experience with the.
Well, partly because of that, and partly because I found icings were too sweet. But I probably had the thought of the maple syrup
Yep.
icing, which is very sweet.
Well, it's interesting too because you can tell. So we're going down a food rabbit hole. You can tell that there's different icings, and I can understand where you're saying it's too sweet because there is. I don't remember what type of cake it is. I don't know if it's store bought or like how someone makes the icing. But there is an icing where I'm like, I can only handle about 3 bites of it, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And I love icing.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, most people do. Like, I love the chocolate dip donut from Tim Hortons, but if it's touching the top of the bag and half the icing comes off when I take it out, I'm like, score.
So you just sit there and eat the fondant.
No, I just eat the donut. I leave the fondant behind. 'Cause I'm like, yeah, I'm good. It's okay.
Yep. There used to be, so when I've worked for Tim Hortons on and off for 10 years and
Okay.
hopefully won't go back.
No, you won't.
It's been okay, but it was a definitely long haul. There was a lady that was allergic to the chocolate fondant on the Boston creams. So whenever she would come, she learned our baker's habits and would come when we were making more. So
Before you put the chocolate on.
so we would always leave one for her.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Oh, that is really nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she bought the donut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. But I mean, not all Tim Hortons would do that
No,
for you.
no.
You know, even if the baker was in the middle, like, was the baker really baking the donuts at that point, or just putting them into the oven? Okay,
I'm not that old.
I have a friend of mine that worked for Tim Hortons, and she, in high school, she would go in at 3 a.m. to make the donuts and really make them, and then she'd show up at school for 9 a.m. or whatever, right?
That's dedication.
Yeah. Well, it was money, right?
Right, yeah, that's true. Sure, I remember
Back
doing
when they had real bakers that really baked the donuts, like made it right
I remember
there.
doing the 2:30, like, because we used to do 8:15 to 2:30 or something in high school,
okay.
and I would be working by 3:15.
Okay.
So I'd be like jumping on the bike and
Yeah, off you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I love donuts. But I like the yeast ones as opposed to the cake ones.
yes, so like the old fashioned plain. They were more cake.
Well, like the chocolate dip or the honey dip, those are yeast ones, right? So if I say I want a chocolate dip donut, most often they'll say, if they're out, they'll say, would you like a chocolate, what do they call it?
The double chocolate?
The double chocolate. I'm like, no, because that's not the consistency.
No, those are cakey.
Those are cakey.
Oh, you want
They
the
think I'm
other
just
one.
after the chocolate,
okay, yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
after the consistency.
of.
So that's
you
why
would-
I would jump to a honey dip instead.
Yep. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
that makes
It
sense.
doesn't mean I don't like an old fashioned plain. I do.
Oh, those were evil when they just came out of the oven. They were so delicious.
Oh, they're so good. So good. And Coffee Way, that's local here in Kingston,
yes.
has the coconut plain old fashioned donuts.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They have raspberry ones too.
Oh, they do.
Josh
they have
loves them.
raspberry, cherry, lemon, and I think there's a fourth fruit, but I can't remember
Oh
what
my
it
goodness.
is.
We're like on a rabbit hole of donuts.
And I always buy those donuts when I have a black shirt on, because the minute you take a bite into it, because the powdered
it's all
sugar,
the powdered, yeah.
it's like I look like I've just come out of the bathroom smoking cocaine or something. It's like
So if you ever
It's
see
just
Rhonda with a
sugar.
black shirt with white on it, it's not cocaine. Don't worry.
it's sugar. Most of the stains on my shirt are probably coffee or sugar.
Your sugar. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, they definitely worth coming to. They usually happen every other year, so the next one will be, this is 24, so 26.
26, and the speakers are going to be interesting too. So
Yeah.
Lori Little, who has the Inner Goddess Tarot.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
She's and I'm gonna
And she
blank.
was at the conference.
Yes, she was. She's fantastic. I think she's taught also spoke the last time, so like in 2022.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So she's gonna come back and do us a interesting little introspective into whatever.
And it's great because there were a good mix, I found. Well, like, yes, granted, there were more people there that knew about tarot, that worked tarot, played and dabbled with tarot. But there weren't that many professional tarot readers. I was surprised because I think it was Nancy that did the put your hand up
Yeah.
if you're a professional tarot reader. And I think less than 20 people put their hands up.
Out of like a room out of 100?
Of
You would
150, actually, closer to about
it was
140,
closer to 140,
or a little above that, I think. So 140 people, and only maybe 20 of us put our hands up, because I was
Interesting.
paying attention, because I was like, oh, how many? And I thought the whole room would go, yep, and it wasn't. So, and there were only maybe a handful of people that didn't read tarot at all. Like there was one lady at our table.
Oh, it was her first time reading for somebody else. It was so cute.
Yeah, she'd
Oh, she's
only played with
fantastic.
it with herself, and she's like, I still use the book. I don't
Yeah.
really know tarot, and there were a few like her sprinkled around, but obviously had a great fascination and appreciation of tarot and cards.
Well, and that's the best
stuff.
thing about tarot is that you can take it from like, this is my livelihood, all the way to, I just want to dabble and
Yeah.
just play.
I
And-
dabbled for years.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, yeah. I was in awe of them. Like
Mm-hmm.
the first time I had a tarot reader in my spa, I was just like, how do you do that? It's like magic,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it really was. And then I took a serious run at it, and yeah, I haven't looked back since, which is great.
Well, I think that says something about your like dedication to learning it too, though, right? Because like I feel like when you don't know something, you almost think it is magical, so it's unattainable.
Yeah.
And then when you like sit down and pick it apart and learn it, it becomes attainable. So it's almost like you learn the magic.
Yeah, yeah. And like I get tarot's very daunting because there are 78 cards to learn about and all that kind of stuff. So I understand because a lot of students come into my classes and go, "Whoa, like what are we doing here?" And I tend to be a girl, and you know this, a girl that throws you in the deep end and says,
Yes.
"Swim."
Miss, let's I think we should co-lead. Oh yeah, sure. Here you go. It's yours.
That's right. I did kind of do that to you, didn't I?
Yes. Luckily, I in the back of my head was, if she didn't think I was ready, she wouldn't have done this to me.
Yeah, I knew she had this. She's been to a million circles.
At the same time, though, I'm like, okay. No, it's been fine.
Nothing makes you do something by, the pressure of, I'm here to do it and I'm the only one that can.
Yes. Yeah.
So you just pick up the gauntlet and there you go. What are you going to do, right? But yeah, I do the same thing with my students, right? I just get them to start reading.
Yep.
And normally, I have a big class, so there's like you compare off and you switch off who you're doing, and that's the best way to learn tarot is just start reading cards for someone other than yourself.
Yes. Well, because you can always, so I noticed this, I don't remember what I was upset about, but I was upset about something, and I was like, I'm just going to pull some cards. Like, don't ever pull cards when you're emotional, by the way, because then you'll, like, read them wrong.
Yeah.
But in my hindsight, I was, like, newer in my journey, so I'm like, why not? Now, I'm like, I'll just shuffle while I'm angry, and when I'm not angry, I'll pull some cards. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
But
And shuffling's very calming.
Oh, it so is.
Yeah.
For about a year, I would take a tarot deck to bed, and, like, my husband would watch TV, and he would not turn out all the lights because our dog likes to sit with us for a bit and then jumps down and goes to bed, and I just shuffle,
Right.
and it would be so therapeutic.
Yeah.
And like it would shut up the side of my brain that's like, you have X, Y, and Z to do, and why didn't you do this? And
It quiets the monkey mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's so great to meditate while shuffling your tarot deck.
Oh yes, I haven't
Yeah.
done that in a while. Mm-hmm. Oh, we should get on that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. So anyway, I was angry one time. Shuffled the cards. They all came out swords, and I was like, this is not good.
Of course
This is not good. Yeah, of course they came out swords because I was angry. And
The
I was
swords
can I
are
just-
like, quick, get a pop it.
Yeah.
Let's stab it.
I was like, can I stab somebody? No, not actually. Kidding. Would never actually stab somebody.
No,
but it
of
was like
course not.
very reflective of like how I was feeling. And I was like, okay, I gotta be careful what question I ask this.
Yeah, right.
I've had people end relationships because of what cards say. And like one part of my brain is like, no, that's crazy. Like you've spent X amount of time with this person and you're gonna sum up your relationship and whether or not you're walking away to a set deck of cards. Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah. Or they pull them after an argument and then they're like, yeah, that's it. The cards have said I'm done with this relationship.
Yeah.
I'm like, you might want to take a pause
yeah.
and, find someone to soundboard that off of.
Yeah.
Or something, right? Bring the cards with you. If
Well,
you
I
want,
honestly
but-
think too, like the cards have a way of showing you what you already know and or giving you what you need. If you're
Yeah.
like way too over here and they're like, no, you need to see this perspective, they'll give that to you.
Yes, but you have to either have someone else do it for you or you have to be in a place of center.
Yes. Because if you're not, it'll just get skewed because your energy is too chaotic to do it yourself.
Yeah. And there is such a thing as an angry deck.
Yep.
A lot of people are like, no, it doesn't get angry. It's like, yeah, it can.
I've been lucky because I've heard you talk about angry decks, and I haven't
I
come-
clean angry decks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you were saying you were doing that for a friend of ours.
Yep.
Yep.
She said it's great.
Good. I'm glad.
All cleared away. But I'm good at that. I'm good at clearing things away for some reason. Maybe because I'm stupidly oblivious to a lot of things.
This isn't angry. It's just being tricky. Let's figure this out.
Because I have a home cleansing this week, and I've had a home cleansing about once a week through October, because that's when it gets
People
busy.
think about
Yeah, they think about it and stuff, right? And so far in November, I've had one a week as well. So
Interesting.
activity's still been active. So
Well, I mean, and it's also like some things could have come up and like energy's moving if people move houses and then some people leave stuff behind that they don't intend to.
There's stress around going into the darker part of the year sometimes. And sometimes Christmas and the holidays, you know, people are like, oh, am I going to have a good one? You know, worried about money or whatever, or worried about like, what are we doing? And just the stress around it. People know what Christmas is and the stresses that obviously can be there. I love when I've had calm Christmases.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice. You know, I tend to, I'm not one to pressure myself to shop early because I can't start too early. Because if I, you know, people are like, oh, I started early, I was done by August. I'm like, if I was done by August, I would still keep shopping through September.
I feel like that'd be something I would do. So my grandmother used to have totes for all of us grandkids.
Oh, okay.
And she would start like Boxing Week for
Okay.
the next year.
Oh my gosh. No, I can't start that
But
early.
what we learned what she would do is she would forget what was down there. and
Start
either
buying seconds
and
of
either buy
things.
doubles or forget to give it to us for birthdays because it would be birthday, Christmas, and like some other
Right,
holiday,
maybe
right?
Easter or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember one time when we were helping her move, she would like, I think this is when she nixed the system because she found a couple of totes of like mine and my cousin, and she's like, oh, I forgot to give this to you, here you go. And I'm just like, cool.
I always wanted this Barbie.
Yeah. Where
Or
is
whatever.
Is that why I didn't get it for Christmas?
Exactly.
No, like I've never done that about specific toys, but I just like on one hand, brilliant way to be on top of things. On the other hand, you got to make sure you're either not going to buy more,
Yeah.
or B, you're not going to forget what you have.
I don't start. I've never started on Boxing Day. But if I see something through the year that's like, oh, this would be perfect, and it's an unusual thing, I may purchase it because I do have a place where I put Christmas presents.
Yeah.
But I don't really start until late September, October is when I start thinking and I start looking around for things. But I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to, you know, it's got to be, you know, presents galores and
Well, no, and I think a lot of so the way we grew up, or it's not possible to do anymore either.
yeah.
Like
Because the one thing I do focus on is stocking stuffers.
Yeah.
Because I love the stocking, right?
So do I. And I got all my essentials in my stocking. Like
Yes.
brand new toothbrush,
Yeah,
toothpaste, deodorant,
exactly.
like socks.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
great to get those things. And you think as a kid they're boring, but as an adult, you're like, oh, awesome.
Right? And then, so Josh's family doesn't do stockings. And I think we're the only ones that, because I legitimately will.
What is wrong with that?
I'll pack my
family?
stocking, kind of, because sometimes he'll be like, no, let me do it. And other days, other years, he's like, I don't have the energy, do both of ours. I'm like, okay. And I'll make sure. And then we always pack Bosco's full of, like, dog treats and little
Yeah.
toys he can play with
Aw.
and poop bags.
Yes, of course, right? Yeah,
But
yeah.
they're like, those are, like, some of the essentials that you need. And then, like, the Christmas gifts can be more the fun stuff.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I put fun things into
Oh,
the
yeah.
stocking too, right?
Yeah.
Like for instance, I saw today a couple little Lego things.
Oh, nice.
One was a car and one was a robot. And my son is a great big 6'2" giant Viking looking guy. So he's a grown man, and I bought one for him and one for my husband because they both loved Lego and they still can appreciate, but it's just something small that they
Yep.
can play with on Christmas morning or whatever. And it's something fun and goofy to kind
Yeah.
of put in there, right? So yeah, I mean, I put the goofy gifts in there too, but I find fun small things and that's fun for me.
Growing up, I always had an orange at the bottom of my stocking.
Yes, same with me. Mom always put an orange in the stocking.
Yep.
And I mean, I remember my dad saying, you know, he grew up with 11 kids. He was one of 11, but, you know, probably 1940s or something. And he said that was the only orange he got every year. And it was just like, can you imagine that being the only orange? Like normally we
No.
had a clementine because that was the special thing. Now you can get everything all year round, including clementines.
Well, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy clementines, so I'm kind of happy you can get them all year round, but there is something slightly Christmassy about it because you couldn't get that when we were growing up.
Yes.
So it's like,
yes.
clementines were Christmas.
Yes.
And you're right, you can get them all year round because the other day I was at a school and I'm like, why do you have clementines in
Yeah.
the fridge?
I know.
I was like, aren't they? I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's close enough to Christmas.
But no, they can do them all year round now. Science has
Science
broken
is
the code.
really like Because, like, I remember going to Disney, and my brothers were younger, so I hung out with my grandparents, who did, like, stuff for me. So we did, like, racetracks and like, Tower of Terror when my brothers were, like, little. So my parents did, like, Animal Kingdom and, like,
Oh, okay.
Epcot and
Oh, okay.
the, like, or Magic Kingdom, sorry. And I remember going on this, like, back studio tour of, like, the genetic engineering of food and how they can grow, like, fruits and vegetables in the desert.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the gist of it because,
Right.
like, long time ago. But it was bonkers.
Right, right.
And you're right.
But I used to get excited when clementines came into the stores at Christmas because then I knew, oh, it's Christmas season because you can get the clementines now, right? And there's something to be said for the season for each fruit. Because I've told my daughter, buy your oranges around Christmas or in the beginning part of the year because that's when they're in season, right? And they're probably a little bit fresher. Kind of like when you buy apples in September from an apple orchard.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
just better somehow because
Oh my
it's
God.
like,
Remember when my grandmother used to, like, buy big apple pies?
oh,
So she would
yes.
buy, like, a huge
yeah,
thing of...
Yeah.
And then she'd bake apple pies and freeze them, and then we'd have apple pie all year.
yeah, that's what my mom did. We did the apple pie thing. We did the homemade apple sauce
Yes.
as well. We never got into the apple jelly or the apple butter. Apple butter's really huge down in Kentucky.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Apple
a-
crisp is a favorite of mine.
Oh, I love apple crisp. Apple butter though was on every table in every restaurant when I was down in
Oh,
Kentucky.
that's interesting.
It was like, what's with the apple butter?
Well, it might be... So, now that you say that, I'm thinking of the apple butter steak sauce from Montana's.
Oh, okay.
It's delicious.
Oh, I haven't tried that. I wasn't a huge fan of the apple butter. I was like, okay, it's okay, but I'm not like I'm buying a jar and taking this home with me or
Yeah.
anything.
No, that
but
makes
you know,
sense.
not to diss the butter lovers, the apple butter lovers. I have butter liquors in my house. I can't leave butter on the counter. The butter
that's
liquors will get
hilarious.
it. That's my cats, Bob and Myrtle. More Bob, to be quite honest.
I mean, Bosco would lick anything if we let him
Oh
have
yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. Lucy, my dog, my Great Pyrenees that I had before she passed, was very, very good at it. And you know, any scrap that my kitchen floor's a mess now because Lucy's not around to eat anything. Bob comes in. Bob is a cat who thinks he's a dog, so he'll hear something hit the floor and he'll be like, "Oh, well, let me help you with that," and he'll sniff it and walk away. I'm like, "How is that helping?"
I still have to bend over and pick it up.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Or if I open a can of tuna, when I was on the farm, cats galores would be like, oh my God, we want the tuna. And I'd put the can down after I drained it and stuff, and they'd eat the little bits that are left and stuff. I put it down for Bob now, and he sniffs it. And he's like, yeah, that's lovely, and walks away. He doesn't eat it, but he'll cry at me until I put the can down.
What a silly dude.
He is so silly. He's so confused. I always tell him it's a good thing you're pretty.
You're pretty. Was Bob or Myrtle the one that used to sit on your cards?
No, Bob is.
Bob is? Okay.
Myrtle's the crystal one. She carries the crystals around in her mouth if I don't put them down.
Should do a YouTube series if you want to buy crystals from Myrtle.
Yeah.
She'll pick them out for you.
Exactly, yeah. Because she'll take them back to her nest. So if I'm missing anything electronic. So I know crystals have a vibration because she loves things with vibrations, right? So if I dare put my earbuds down on the wrong table,
Don't do it.
they're gone and they'll be in her nest somewhere and maybe the rubber parts chewed a little bit.
Bosco does that with, like, the other day I found, so, like, I have multiple sticks of deodorant because I change my purses regularly.
Right.
It's not because I'm paranoid. It's just I literally want to know where one is when I
This
need
one's
it.
not working.
Yeah. And the other day I was like, where's the one I keep, like, in the downstairs bathroom? And I had moved it because it was in my work bag. And then it must have gone to the couch for whatever reason. It was, so Bosco has little, like, places he hoards stuff around the
Oh,
house.
okay, yeah.
And I had to do one to check, like, all of those because that's where it was.
Oh my God,
I'm
that's
like-
too hilarious. Does he tuck them into the couch cushions?
Not the couch cushions, but, like, corners.
Oh, okay.
So he'll grab, like, cardboard or bones he wants to stash away for later. He'll, like, chew on a bone and then be like, no, I'm done with this for a while. And he'll, like, shove in a corner and bury it under, like, God knows what.
Right.
And then the end of the week, I'm like running around going, oh, this is garbage. This is hair. This is garbage. And then he was looking at me like, you uncovered everything. What is
Yeah.
wrong with you, lady?
That was all good stuff.
Yeah.
I was saving that.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't want our house overrun with stuff that we need to get rid of.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah, when my Basset Hound Hunter passed, he had a knack for stuffing things into the corners of couches under the cushions. So we took the cushions. We had about 6 couches in our farmhouse because it was a very big house. And we found little Halloween chocolate bars in each of them because he loved the smell of chocolate, but he wouldn't eat it.
Well, that's good.
But he
it'll
would
kill
put,
them.
Yeah, well, the milk chocolate, my vet said not so much because it's more milk and sugar than it is actual chocolate.
Okay.
But they shouldn't be eating gargantuan amounts of it or anything. But if he got a hold of a little Halloween treat and ate it, that would be
Okay, that's
it
good to
wouldn't
know.
kill him. It wouldn't be good for him, but it wouldn't kill him. But he had stashes of them in all the couches.
I can just imagine him like when you're sleeping, just be like,
Yeah, he would just smell them. He also had a propensity for stuffing blueberry bagels in the couches too.
blueberry bagels are good. I don't blame him there.
Yeah, and he would try to eat them, and he would chew through the bag and then eat half a bagel or something.
Bagel. Yeah, we're pretty careful with Bosco as far as food is concerned, as far as like him getting into like which is interesting because like we theoretically should have a sealable container with his food in it, but we don't.
Okay.
And he's pretty trustworthy. Like he won't go into his kibble.
Yeah, my cats are like that. They won't go into their kibble until it's in the proper designated bowl.
Yep.
And then Bob's like, "Yes, thank you for serving me."
And dressed properly too, because I think the one night we forgot to get his wet food, and was like,
Oh,
he'll
no.
survive one night, it's fine. He looked at it, looked
Yeah.
at us, and we're like, is this it? Like
Do
not.
you want me to eat like a beggar? Like, come on.
This is not it. Well, I remember we went through a raw phase with him.
Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah.
he ate better than we did.
Yeah, and that can get expensive really fast.
Hence why we don't do it anymore.
Yeah, because I had 4 dogs at one point, and I had been on the raw system. Like, I can't keep this up.
No.
But, you know, I still tried to buy nicer dog food. I did do the wet thing.
Yeah.
With each of the 4 dogs and their dry kibble as well. But Buddy, he was another great parent. He was 175 pounds when he passed. He was a big boy. He came to me with the name Goliath. And he was definitely a Goliath, but he was more of a buddy.
Oh,
He was
buddy.
such a sweetheart. But the girl that brought him to me and gave him to me, just gave him. I'm like, thank you so much. It was so generous. But she had bought like this huge bag of the Walmart cheapest whatever you can get, because of course he's volume, right?
Yeah.
And I got it, but at the same time I'm like, I'm not feeding this crap to anybody. It's like, oh, but Buddy was always at the oven.
You learned how to be you learn that you can be a snob with certain things that are like for your pets.
Yes.
'Cause I do the
Oh,
same thing with dogs.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because, Buddy loved the oven because he knew the food was in there, right? If it wasn't on the top, it was in the inside. And he would always wait patiently and go, when will I get my part of it?
So I'm gonna butcher the story, but Bosco, hang on, Josh.
She's already butchering it.
Yes, Josh had a dog that actually tried to eat through the oven to get to I don't know if it was a chicken or a turkey, but they were like cooking.
Wow.
And he like took all the pans out of the drawer,
Oh my gosh. Like
got
the
in
underneath
and
part?
tried to like scratch. Yeah.
Wow, smart dog. He's like, yeah, we can get in here. Not to worry. Just need a little C4 once
Yeah.
I clear out this drawer. He had a
He had a plan.
plan. He mapped it all out and everything. I could just see him unrolling the plan on the floor.
Oh yeah, Josh has got some pretty good stories from the dogs he had growing up.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, I had a dog when I was a kid. Now, most of our dogs were outdoor dogs because we lived on a farm.
Yep.
So that's what they did. But this one dog, she was an outdoor dog too, but Dad had built her a whole big
Ooh.
dog house, which was awesome. And she was very good at killing snakes. What we didn't know was she was piling the snakes up in her doghouse. So one day Dad went to kind of clear out the doghouse, of leaves or whatever, and there was a stack of snakes in the back of the
Nope.
doghouse.
No.
They were all dead and crispy, because they had
'cause
gotten
they're, like,
dry.
cold. Yeah.
But it was like, he came in going, she's stacking snakes out there. It's like, oh my God.
Nope. That's it. I'm done. I think one time my grandfather was mowing the lawn once, and there was like a clump of garter snakes,
I've done that.
and I'm like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like he didn't run over them. Like they all
Oh, I
survived.
did.
White. And he was just like, come here, come look at this. And meanwhile, I didn't exactly hear what he had said because he was running the lawnmower.
Okay, yeah.
And I looked down and I was like, because he's like,
Yeah, because
stop.
they're all a big ball of
Yeah,
snakes.
and I was like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, no
it's
thanks."
like, no. Yeah, I ran over a ball of spotted adders, of all things. So they actually are poisonous, but they'll just make you sick. They won't kill you. We don't really have anything up here in Ontario that kills you, as far
No.
as snakes go.
It's always I will always handle winter because I've seen pictures from Australia that snakes can reach doorbells. And I'm like,
Yes!
nope.
That is scary. Like, ding dong, that's not Avon calling.
No, and I can't do it. I was like, okay. Every time I like freeze my butt off at winter trying to like
Thank God the snakes are dead.
yeah, I'm like, nope.
That
I
and
would rather
mosquitoes.
scrape my car.
Once a year, we kill off all the things we don't like.
Yep.
But then they come alive again in the spring. But, oh well, that's what we...
It's a circle of life.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the warnings about hedgehogs now that like if you see them, they're not dead. Just kind of leave them be.
About what?
Hedgehogs.
Hedgehogs.
Because they hibernate.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't touch them. Yeah. Luckily, we've got an animal rescue place around here.
Yes, we do. We
It
have a
does
very
take-
good animal rescue
Yeah,
place.
takes good care of the animals. And whenever someone's like, I found this thing, where do I take it? Sandy Pines. That's
Yes,
where you go.
Sandy Pines is amazing.
One of my clients works there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm very proud to help her with her social media
Mm-hmm.
when they're doing some kind of fundraiser or whatever. They also have my peacock.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, because my peacock from the farm, well, I had two of them. One got killed and one escaped because he got lonely because he didn't have his buddy peacock, right?
That's fair.
So it turns out Sandy Pines got him
Oh.
because he's there. And I know I was the only one in the area for a very long time around when they got the peacock that had a peacock. I'm like, he's safe. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I was about to move anyway. So I was like, yeah, no, it's all good.
I've seen them in zoos and stuff, and I'm like, how do you, like, granted they're just birds,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah. We used to eat them.
what?
Yeah. Back in medieval times.
Oh, medieval time. I was like, how far back are we talking?
Yeah. It was very common for royal courts to have peacock for dinner.
Yep.
That and pigeon.
Pigeon was considered royal?
It was considered a bird. Yeah, there was a lot of birds that they probably ate that we would not eat. And they would dress the peacock back up with its own peacock feathers with the head.
That's interesting.
I'm
So they
I'm
would-
like, that's just food poisoning waiting to happen.
Yup.
It's like-
I often wonder, so like when you learn things, because like I don't often end up in like the older grades, which is probably better because there'd be days where I'd be like, question,
yeah.
hang on.
Shh, I'm listening to this lesson. Be quiet.
yeah. Because there's things that like Josh will come out with because he used to work. He was working at a museum over the summer and he has a history major, and so like we'll get on a topic of some sort because someone said something stupid on social media. So he'd be like, "Listen, this is how it actually went down," and I'm like, "Okay," and then I'm like, "Oh wow, people are not listening to their history."
Yeah.
Very well.
I mean, often as a kid, you don't listen to half of the stuff that's poured into your head. You know, like even with my parents, I'm like, why didn't I ask more questions? Why didn't I get mom's knowledge of growing things? Because she had a huge green thumb. She could grow just about anything. And I'm like, I wish that's not something you just inherit in your genes.
No,
Clearly.
there's ways to do it. And hey, oh, I just missed someone said hey.
Oh, hi. Hello.
Hello. Diane's watching.
Oh, Diane's
Hi,
watching.
Diane.
Hi.
I didn't catch the name of the person before.
Okay.
So, but thank you for tuning in.
Yes,
We
yes.
enjoy-
We're talking about the Lenormand and Tarot Conference, as well as donuts and peacocks and all kinds of fun
History
things.
lessons.
History
It's a little bit
lessons.
of everything tonight.
It is. But our focus is Lenormand and Tarot and the takeaway that we had with that conference, because it was my first one.
Okay.
And I absolutely loved it.
Well, and I always forget how deep you go with them because, like, I always have to like stay half out of it because of the Zoom peeps, and that's not a bad thing because I'm there
Yeah, there was
to
a lot
work.
of activities I couldn't participate in because
Yeah.
we were doing Zoom. But I'm just so grateful that I was allowed to be there. And you soak some stuff up
You do,
regardless.
or you take the handouts and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this later, and
Yeah.
then you remember bits about what gets said, and then you're like, oh yes, that was a moment that was really impactful. Like that one spread where it's like your signifier card and then your other 21 major arcanas. I pulled all my cards and just wrote them
Oh,
down.
okay.
And I was like, okay, I will redo this at a later
I only
date.
did it later, and I was doing it with my twist to it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So I've created a whole new spread for myself to now offer to clients.
That's interesting.
Yes, which is, I'm very excited to do it. So yeah.
Maybe we should do a test run.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that.
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Marilyn did a fantastic job. The speakers were phenomenal.
The food was phenomenal.
food
The
was
giveaways were
amazing.
phenomenal.
Oh, that prize table.
Oh my God.
I think it almost fell over from what was on
Yeah,
it.
like they clearly needed a bigger prize table because there were so many prizes. Like even after they drew everybody's name, so you got a prize no matter what. They still had 20 things still on
At
the
least.
table, and Marilyn just said, "Come on up and help yourself." So
Yep.
that's what we did.
I know that was funny. You had mentioned this after the fact because you and I were talking about like what on the prize table could we like incorporate into the shop or like use as in a workshop.
Yeah.
And so like every time I went up to the prize table, I had that in mind because I don't need another tarot deck.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I need another deck like a hole in the head. They're
Yeah.
gorgeous and I want more, but I'm
Yeah.
like, my budget is not. But I mean, if it's free, it's free. Like Diane, shout out to Diane, she got the like Druid Tarot. It was an older
Oh,
deck.
cool.
So I'm interested to see what you think about that, Diane.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was kind of
absolutely.
eyeing that one, but I also didn't need another deck that I
Yeah.
probably am not going to use.
Well, I picked up Carolyn Mrs. I think is her last name. She's done the Soul Contracts book that I've read and a
Oh,
couple other
interesting.
books and a couple of decks that I have. And she had the Goddess, I think, Archetypes.
Oh, I saw that one.
So I picked that up and I was like, will I incorporate that into the shop or will I use it? And I went through it. I'm like, I think I'm probably going to use it.
Good.
Because it's awesome. It's really, really powerful.
Well, and I think that's an interesting way to, because I think there was a couple Kip,
Lenormand?
Lenormand, but also there's Kipper cards.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So I feel like there was some Lenormand decks too, and they were fantastic.
I didn't see any of them, like on the prize table.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But I think Lenormand and Kipper can be used together, or the deck I saw was where they were used together.
Well, the funny thing is I think you were called for the prize first, and I was not expecting my name to even be in the prize.
Well, neither
box.
was I, because I figure we're working. We don't
Yeah.
get the perks that pay the people who paid for do.
Yeah.
But she does. She throws everyone's name in a hat.
That's awesome that she does that, right? Because it's a nice little extra for the work that you're doing. Because we're volunteering. It's not like we're getting
No,
cash on the barrel or
not
anything
for
like that.
Not for the amount of hours we
No,
pulled this weekend.
no, exactly. And I can't even imagine the amount of hours Marilyn's put in. Because, like, I saw someone asked her already, like, how much are the tickets going to be for the next one?
She's like, guys, like, let me.
Let her have a night's sleep first, at
Oh, I
least,
know. I
you
saw that because, like, I took a couple of notes to see if we could improve upon some of the Zoom stuff next year.
Yeah.
And I was like, when she like starts thinking about this over the summer, is when I'm gonna bug her about that.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Give her some breathing space because she's just coming off of that. You know, she probably doesn't want to talk about tarot at all for the next few days.
Days, probably weeks.
And I was talking to her too and saying how, you know, like when she reached out to me, I said, like, how are you getting this together coming? Because I know October is a busy time for any tarot reader. And she's like, yeah, it's been a busy month. And I'm like, I guess so. I mean, she doesn't put it together in a month, obviously. It's a couple of years. They're each a couple of years apart. So she starts the logistics pretty early. But nevertheless, the focus and when everything starts to, you know, it's sort of like planning a wedding, right? Like,
Yeah, and she does it like the weekend after Halloween.
yeah. I'm like, oh my God, that's a crazy time to be doing it. right? Because it's
But
like
she does phenomenally well.
yeah, she does. She does. And it's just like, I'm thinking, it must be so hard, you know, like, yes, she has a team that helps her, but still, even with a team, it's a huge undertaking, right? Yeah. Hello. Who is that? Something K.
Shan.
Shan K. Hello.
We finally caught someone who said hello.
Yes. This is awesome. There's more people.
Happy 11/11.
Happy 11/11. Yes. I hope everybody had their poppy and remembered those who have fallen, those who have made the sacrifices so that we can live in a land that is free, right? Which is great. And I wish the rest of the world could live in a land that's free. And
What do you both do? What do you both do reading?
what do we
Collective. Oh, they want a collective reading.
Oh, a collective reading? What do you mean, like a group reading? I do group readings.
No, I mean, they probably want a collective reading now.
Oh, we don't do readings on the Tarot Delights because we talk about tarot. I do it professionally, as do you.
Yeah.
I do it full time. She does it part time. But yeah.
So if you come to the Moon Circle, you can get a reading.
Yeah.
Or you can book in for sure.
And the New Moon Circle, we definitely do collective readings and things like that. New moon, full moon, and I do an evening at the tarot table.
That'd be interesting. Oh yeah, because I was like, why have I never gone to one of those? I'm always working on Friday
Yeah,
nights.
because it's Friday nights
Yep.
usually, or a Friday night. It's usually once a month, and it's usually on a Friday night. This one can't be here for that
No,
just yet.
just yet. We'll
She'll
see.
be there eventually. She's got 14 different jobs that she
14,
works.
not exactly 14, but we're 4. Yeah, it's probably about accurate. It's
Oh,
the only way I
dear.
stay afloat.
Yeah. I know. Things are so expensive.
Oh,
like-
that's a whole other podcast in
Yeah,
and of itself.
it is. It is. But we're lucky enough to live in a pretty decent country. I mean, there's always room for improvement, right? We'll bitch about things, but, you know, potholes and
Kingston's bad.
it is bad. It is very bad. Don't kiss your tires goodbye and your shock absorbers and everything because they're gone.
Well, I'm pretty sure because like my car used to ride low
Oh.
in general, and we
Right.
actually like popped it up with some springs, and it still rides low.
Oh, wow.
So like
yeah.
potholes and I aren't friends.
Right.
I'm like, oh, avoid at
and
all
when
costs.
when I see cars driving around potholes, I'm like, oh, buddy, wait till you get to this street. There's no
Do
avoiding
you remember?
it.
Was it last year, or am I thinking a couple years ago when they actually like some car got stuck in a pothole? Like I'm talking,
Oh.
merp,
Wow.
and like Public Works had to like Kingston Works had to put like
Cones.
no, not cones, the actual like barriers.
Oh, around it so people wouldn't drive into it. Yeah, that seems vaguely familiar. I don't remember where.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Kingston has bad drivers and bad potholes.
Yeah, and it all bets are off when it snows.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
get to play.
exactly.
You get to go. Where's the lane?
Yeah,
sending
it's-
love from Detroit. Thanks so much.
Oh, so great. I was born in Windsor. Yay. So
So-
Detroit was my neighbor when I was a baby.
Yeah, I think Josh was too.
Oh, yeah?
My husband. Yeah, he's a Windsor native.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. So Detroit people know where Windsor is.
Yeah. It's like a hop,
Sometimes I
skip,
say
and a
Windsor
jump.
and people look at me like, where? Where is that? I'm like,
They have never been to Windsor if they say that.
yeah. Because
Or
Windsor's
Detroit.
surprisingly flat.
Really?
It's a lot like the prairies. Like it's,
Even though it's in Ontario.
even though
'Cause,
it's
like,
in Ontario.
A lot of, if you go, and I'm going to do this, and it may not be east. If you go east, it doesn't get flat. It gets very hilly and
Yeah.
foresty and-
Yeah. It's only a little blip in Ontario that is like that.
true.
But I remember cornfields as far as the eye can see. My parents were terrified of me going into the cornfields because of course I was only like 4.
yeah, you'd never,
Yeah.
you'd have to like,
Never
so,
find me again.
makes me think. So some workplaces, if they have like a workplace corgi, I've seen videos where they tie the balloon to the collar so the
Oh,
balloon's up here
yeah,
because the
I've seen
corgi's so short. And it just made me think. I'm like, did your parents tie like a balloon to your?
No, I don't think they went that far, but because back in those days, yeah, kids wandered and
Oh yeah, kids
whatnot.
wandered. I remember I learned, well, you learn the lesson as a kid that you either hang on to your balloon or you tie it to your wrist or you lose it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
a couple of tears over a balloon. Now
Oh,
my
yeah.
parents would double knot it and go, we'll cut that off when you get home.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's cutting off the circulation. You can't
it
feel
wasn't
your hand
that
anymore.
bad.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
I've got the balloon.
Hey, and what did the meltdown?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And now that I work with kids, I'm like, yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you think, it's so cruel that my parents did that. And then you're like, oh, I totally understand why they did that.
Yes. I didn't even have to have kids before I started figuring that out. I have a mom voice without being a mom.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Exactly.
the kiddos I work with are pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and there were lots of great vendors there, too.
Oh my goodness, the vendors. Mm-hmm. I did not bring enough in the budget, but I also tried to budget and then realized I had something else to pay for and was like, oh, right, that comes out in this paycheck too. Whoops. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
I also did the responsible adulting thing and paid all my bills because I got paid on that Friday.
Oh, nice.
So Josh was like, I don't, you're not going to, blow your entire paycheck. And I was like, no, look, I paid all the bills first.
Yeah, there you go. Pay those first. And then whatever you have left over
Yeah.
is to play with.
And I think, so I tried to do cash only, and I came home with some cash because I did debit one purchase.
Yeah.
But it's also,
I did cash only, too.
But I think that's the safest bet for me because then if it's cash, I can see it go.
Yeah.
But if it's debit, it's like, oh, it's still there. No.
It's like playing those one-armed bandits, like, tap, and I win again!
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
you don't notice your accounts just slowly.
Yeah.
dwindling.
And then you look at your account, 2 cents? What the hell did I buy?
Yep.
And then you look at what your purchases were, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yep. I always hate that it takes a minute for the bank to process what it is.
Oh.
So you see interact.
Yeah.
And then a number, and then you're like, what the heck did I buy?
Right, right.
So I usually by the number I can figure it out. Like if it's a really odd number, then
Yeah.
it's usually gas.
Yeah.
Or if it's an even number, it's usually Starbucks.
Okay.
So like that kind of stuff.
Interesting. She's got a whole system down.
I have to with how much I gotta rein that in a little bit. But then sometimes there's pre-authorized stuff. So if I've forgotten I've bought a movie online or something.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come in for a couple of days. I'm like, what did I buy?
I don't like the pre-authorized, people dip it into my account.
No.
Whenever they feel like it sometimes.
We refuse. So you know how your landlord's got the pre-authorized, send them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So they now do e-transfers. So we do that, but we
Oh,
do
yeah.
not do pre-authorized.
No, I don't do pre-authorized unless I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it's absolutely necessary.
I think the only pre-authorized thing I had was my car loan.
Oh, my car insurance is pre-authorized.
Oh yeah, that one too. But that's been like that from the beginning, so I don't really
Yeah.
count it as.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And I don't get me wrong, I love it when people are like, yeah, you just said it and you forget it. I'm like, then I'm paranoid about whether or not the money's in my account.
Yeah, because then I forget it too. And I'm like, oh yeah, that $200 had to come out for, phone or cable or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I forgot about that. If I'm actually making the payment, then that's a little bit different, right? So
Yeah, there's the forgetting that it's coming out, and then there's forgetting to pay.
yes.
Because I did that last month with my phone bill.
See, I
I'm
don't
like,
forget to pay. I just forget if I do pre-authorized, I forget that it's actually coming out.
Yeah, my whole thing is I don't like pre-authorized in general because then right near, so for example, say if you did have rent pre-authorized to come out of your account, I would be so paranoid that the 3 days before the weekend that rent is due and the 3 days after, I would be like, can't touch my account because if it's not in there, it's gonna bounce, and then that just
Yeah,
is a whole
yeah.
headache in and of itself.
I also I had my utilities for a little while. I don't pay those anymore because it's all included in my rent. But when I did, I had it pre-authorized, but they dipped 2 months in a row twice.
What?
Yeah,
So
and
you
I
were 4 months ahead?
Yep, I was.
Oh.
And I'm like, I didn't think they could let's say it was many years ago. So let's say I set it up for the 15th of every month.
Yeah.
Well, they went in on the 15th and they went in on the 20th. And it's like, I didn't think they could go in unless I said this is the date.
You would think, but like,
apparently they can.
they can. And I think I remember working at a gym where we would set up pre-authorized payments. And I think that's where I got the aversion of pre-authorized payments.
Right.
Because some people would be like, you came in and you did this and we said we wanted to cancel this. And I'm like, yes, but when you cancel, you have to pay your last month.
Okay,
So
right.
it's not just you cancel today and you don't get billed
don't
on the
get-
15th.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
still getting billed on the 15th and after that gets canceled.
Right.
So like
right.
there was always confusion around that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just hate pre-authorized.
Yeah, it's such a pain in the butt.
And then there's the other side of the world there, or the coin that are like, pre-authorized is the easiest thing ever. It's the reason why I don't miss payments.
Yeah, that's because you have $1,000 extra in your bank account, whereas I might have 5.
Yep.
$5 extra. It's like, oh, I'm not getting coffee this morning because I paid my utilities.
That's how you, like, yeah, you gotta be responsibly, I call it responsibly broke. My paycheck comes in, the bills get paid, and whatever I have left goes in the car for gas so I can get to work and get paid again. And then whatever's left over, and I do try and do some savings. Obviously right now I'm kind of
Yep.
still paying off OSAP.
And no
so-
matter where I'm at, my cats always get fed.
Yes. Yes, I do the same thing. So like, Josh and I were talking about this today. He's like, did you get dog food? And I was like, I thought he had one left. He's like, I don't know, maybe. And I'm like, I asked you yesterday.
Yeah, really. Get off
So-
the couch and check the cupboard or go and get some.
So I went and got some before coming here. Because I'm like, he's not going
No.
starving.
No. He has his set dinner.
Yep.
And once you set the expectation, you can't take it away.
No. No.
That's why, so I usually give my cats their little crunchy treats in the morning.
Oh, the little, they can hear the bag.
Yes, exactly. Or
Love it.
or also they have their kibble, right? So I got these the things that you can hold and your cat will lick it. Mm-hmm. Well, they're just wet food basically. They're really minced up wet food. But I'm not going to sit and hold a stick while my cat licks it, right? So I squeeze them out into a dish for them. But I have learned you can't set that expectation. So it's only when they're out of their crunchy morning treats
Ooh, do they get that?
that they get that. It's an apology of, I'm sorry, we do not have this, but how about this instead? And they're like, oh, yes. But they don't come to expect it because it only happens every once in a while.
Oh my God, the audacity. So the one time recently, one of us forgot to pick up carrots. I can't say Josh because I've also forgotten to. And the audacity on Bosco's face is like, what do you mean I don't get my carrots? He gets carrots at night. They're good for cleaning
How
his
could
teeth.
you not have my carrots?
Right, exactly. And
I ask you to do one thing. Carrots at night, wet food at dinner. Take me out for my poops.
and so the only way we're like, okay, buddy, here's some cheese because that's like crack to him.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, okay, cheese is fine.
yeah, that's fine. If you can up the game, it's
Yeah.
fine. But
And then for the next night when we get the carrots, he's like, where's the cheese?
yeah, I thought we were doing the cheese now. It's like-
It cracks me up. Because normally, like, and especially too, if Josh will bring like a snack to bed, normally he has like a popsicle or something. And like the crinkle in Bosco's like right there, like, hey, you gonna share some, Dad?
It's like you don't even like popsicle.
No.
My dog Buddy, the big Great Pyrenees, every time I peeled a banana, he always wanted some banana.
Oh, you've told me this. I love it.
So I would break him off a little piece of banana, and he had this tongue that always hung out. It was like a slab of bologna on his face. So I put it on his tongue, and he'd kind of take it in his mouth, and then he'd go bleh every time. And I explain every time, you don't like banana.
He's like, no, let me try.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm pretty sure I like it now. Can I try it? I'm like, okay.
Oh my goodness. Animals are so great.
It's like every time. No, I'm pretty sure I
Oh.
like banana.
You know what you could, sorry, I was like, animals are so great, tarot and like relational, like we were talking about in the tarot conference, they were doing some ancestral things with like matching people in your family to tarot cards. So
Yeah, no, it's all good.
we should match our pets to tarot cards.
That's funny because I was thinking I should come up with a pet reading. Because I do pet, what do I call it? Pet communication.
Okay.
It's usually like if they've been hurting or if they're near the end of the life, is this the right time?
Yeah.
So I kind of say I'm a pet doula, death doula.
Okay.
So it's not very often that I do that. I get asked every once in a while, and for some reason, pets with me it's like they're talking to me. And I know people think that about their pets, but I can do it with almost any dog or cat, which is, I don't know, maybe a gift. Who knows?
I just internalize their speech. Like, they look at me and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what you mean, right? And they just look again and I'm like, okay, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
I just have an internal dialogue for my pet.
Right. Yeah. I have full on conversations. Yep. Okay. But anyways.
What pet owner does it?
Yeah, right? Yeah. But I do it with a lot of dogs in my neighborhood too.
Oh yes. My favorite is when you see them at the coffee shop. So like, again, Starbucks. And you know they're getting pup cups and they're just, their face is like, come
Yeah.
on back. Why aren't you coming back yet? Like, I know it's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. But I was thinking it would be cool to have. I did that at a festival because it was a dog festival that they had.
Like the sheep trials? Was that what
No.
Oh,
It
something
was out
else?
of town when Catherine and I were still on the road and
Okay.
stuff. So there was a special dog festival that they were, encouraging people to bring their dogs. They had special dog activities, blah, blah, blah. So we set up our tent and I did nothing but dog tarot readings all weekend
That's
long.
fantastic.
It was awesome. It was amazing. And I was like, I should do that again. It's
I would.
like-
So now I want to go home and play with my ducks and figure out what it would
Yeah.
show up if I was to do. Because like I've done Reiki on Bosco, or
Yeah.
like he's done Reiki on me. Because there have been days where I'm like, I'm dead, and he's like, here, mom, here's a hug, and I'm like,
Yeah.
ah,
Aw.
energy. So there's that like coexist. Because I never want to take more than I give type thing.
Yeah.
And like, you ask their higher self for permission, and it's usually granted rather quickly because it's you do things in like their honor of their greater good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's
And this is a dog-friendly building.
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so people can bring their dogs in, and yeah, and it was really interesting that weekend that I did dog readings. That the things that came forward were just phenomenal.
Good.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, dogs are a little more simpler than. That's a horrible grammar sentence I just said there. I hear my mother's face or voice saying.
The English major.
Yes.
She's
She was an English major, and it's like you can't be more simple or more simpler. You're either more simple or simpler. You can't be both. I'm like, okay, fine. Dogs are simpler. Their needs are simpler, and
well, yeah. It's I need to go to the bathroom. Where am I sleeping and where are my meals?
and if there were health issues.
Or yeah, their health issues.
Because one dog I read, I said you might want to check their hips because they were complaining about them to me in the
I always worry
tarot.
about that with Bosco. The way we pick, well, the way because I'm short.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any dogs that are short or big dogs tend to have hip problems. I had Basset hounds, so you always had to be careful of their back and hips and stuff like that, right? Because like my one dog, it was Hunter, I think, because I've had two of them, would jump off the back porch, which was a little high for him. And we had this huge party that we'd have every summer, and he was jumping off of that through the night. And we had tried to block it, but he found a way around.
Yeah.
Because he was just excited that there was people and he was playing and stuff. But the next day he could hardly walk.
Oh.
And he was an older dog, so we knew like you should not be doing that kind
Yeah.
of jump at that age and stuff like that. So we did end up blocking it even more over the night because we didn't realize he had jumped a few times. But it was just like you could tell he was stiff and sore. And
That's hard.
yeah, it is hard. He was a great dog. He was my chemo dog. He took me through chemo.
Oh.
Yeah, so he has a special place in my heart, of course. There's a picture of me after chemo. I'm lying on the couch. I'm just asleep or something, and Hunter is right there on top of me.
Yeah.
He
Just
would
like,
hug
here,
me.
Mom. Here's
yeah,
a hug.
exactly. He was definitely doing Reiki. Dogs do Reiki without having to be trained how to do Reiki.
So do cats.
Yeah, cats can.
Yep.
Sometimes cats don't give a shit.
No, but like
But some cats, yeah, they love to heal.
one of my respite families, like one of their cats is like, no, I answer to one person and one person only, and it's their oldest son. And I was like, yeah, sure, dude, I'll like scratch your ear, you do your own thing. The other one likes to try to escape.
Okay.
So I've learned that I'm like, well, whether you like it or not, you're getting picked up because
You're
you're
right.
not escaping on my watch. And but since I've started to like pick them up to make sure they don't get out the back door, they've actually like come over and like sat on the couch with me and like,
Oh,
yeah, it was
nice.
super cute.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, because Bob's cuddly. Myrtle's only cuddly with me. She wants to kill my husband most of the time.
I love when animals pick people. I'm the spare human with Bosco because Josh was home.
Oh, okay, okay.
So he got used to Josh being home, and Josh is primarily home longer stints than I ever am.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm the spare. But
The
like
spare human.
it's just so funny when they get patterned, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
then they're like, oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
leaving me with them.
Yeah, like, can we trust her? Does she know where the treats are?
Yeah.
Does she understand the carrot situation? Yeah.
God forbid the carrot situation get messed up. No, we're
And
pretty
is there
on.
spare cheese? Because tell her there's no carrots and just have her give me the cheese.
Oh my gosh. And he knows too. So like if it's a bad batch of carrots, like we had a batch of carrots go bad on us really quickly.
Oh, okay.
And he snubbed them.
Oh,
He was
well,
like,
of course.
these aren't my carrots. These don't taste right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they would know. They would know.
do.
Dogs' noses, they know.
And then their ears are just for decoration sometimes.
Yes, yes, the non-functioning listening devices, as I called Buddy's ears.
Yep.
Oh dear. But I think we've had a good talk here.
Yes.
Made
Lots
some
of tangents.
So we'll be back on our regular schedule, like a Monday night, like we are tonight, but we'll be back on our regular schedule of talking about the major arcana that we're working through, and then we'll work into other things as well.
Yeah, maybe some spreads and
Some spreads. Yeah. You know,
maybe-
if you have any suggestions about what you would like to know about tarot or tarot related in some way, please let us know. We'll talk about it. All right.
All
there
right,
you go.
sounds good.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I'll let you do it.